Okay, so next I'm going to bring up Laurel Pantin of Earl Earl. Laurel is a Los Angeles-based stylist, creative director, writer, and brand strategist with an extensive background as a fashion and interiors editor at publications like InStyle, Glamour, Teen Vogue, and Lucky. Laurel is the creator behind Earl Earl, one of the top 10 fashion substacks, where she breaks down the hows and whys of what to wear and what to buy. Come on up.
That's a very tough act to follow.
Oh, you'll be great. Your outfit is just as good.
Thank you. I'm worried I'm not wearing anything underneath this blazer. I'm worried my boobs are going to fall out.
It's a safe space. It's okay. Yeah. And again, we're recording it, so.
Perfect.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us in your words all about Earl Earl.
Earl Earl started during the pandemic also. I was a magazine editor and a writer for a really long time in New York, and then my second kid was born right in the beginning of the pandemic, and we left New York City and went to Austin, and I felt, where my parents live, and I felt really, really isolated. And at the time, the writing that I was doing for magazines was like, Christina had always dreamed of living in a castle, so when she found a house with a turret, she knew she had to have, like, just so, like, I don't know, sterile, I guess. And I also am like I look very pulled together. I am a super messy person. I am impulsive as hell. Like, I have a potty mouth, like everything. I like to talk about everything. I talk about too much. And I missed doing that kind of writing, and I missed expressing those things I was feeling. And at the time, I had a 2-year-old and a newborn, and I was living in, like, down the street from my parents all of a sudden. It's like this life that I built in New York felt like a dream, and it was COVID, and I was isolated, and so I just started writing about that. And I never spell checked it. I don't proofread anything I write. I just like write it and send it, and I very rarely ask, like, is this too personal? So it started out like that way, really just more focused on writing, and my personal interests are like fashion and styling, expressing yourself through clothing. I love like the integrity of clothing. I love to talk about, I love stuff. Like, I love clothes, and I love what it can do for you to get dressed and what it does for me to get dressed. And motherhood is another thing that I talk about a lot. I am not interested in parenting advice, but I am interested in being a mom and motherhood and like all of that. I'm sober, so I write a lot about that. Just like I'm interested in everything. I'm interested in people. I'm like a very excitable person. I'm really enthusiastic. I don't sound it right now, but like I'm like kind of a puppy. And what I like about Substack and about Earl is it's just like whatever I'm kind of into at the moment, I can make content around. And sometimes it resonates and sometimes it doesn't, and that's fine, because like I just keep showing up, and I think a lot of what you were saying really resonates with me, like building this community and having this platform. I was doing this work for forever for other people, and for Condé Nast and for Meredith, and like now to be able to do it for myself, and to just, when I first started, I was like, I get to be myself full time, and like all of the weirdest things about myself I get to be. And like, that's kind of where, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's like kind of where it started from and what it's grown into. And it has like totally changed my perspective on myself and everything. It's totally changed everything.
I love that. I think a lot of times people will ask us, okay, I have all these different things that I do. And, should I have 5 different Substacks, or, how should I have that show up? And I love what you do because, well, we can talk about your other Substack too that you brought in, but it's just you, and it's everything you do, and that's what people come for. I tell writers and creators all the time is they come for you. They want to know everything you're doing. They love the personal stuff. Paywall, the personal, that always works.
Totally.
Okay, but I have to ask, where did that name come from?
So the name came from my first kid. I only have 2. My first kid is named Ellis, and I had always wanted to have a baby and name him Earl. I was like, my baby is going to be Earl from New York City. And like, I grew up in Texas. So Earl to me is not like the Baron of Earl. It's like your truck driving uncle. It's like Dixie Chicks, like Earl, the rodeo king. And so I was like, that's my baby. And then I was pregnant with a boy, and everyone was like, you cannot name your fucking kid Earl. Like, go to hell. And the nurses in the hospital, they were like, don't do that to the baby. So we named him Ellis instead. And but I still really liked the name. And when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, it's Earl. And like I call like it was like my fantasy baby. And so anyway, then cut to the pandemic, and I'm like tie-dyeing baby clothes and like so anxious and like doing all this stuff. And I called my tie-dyed baby clothes line Earl Earl because Earl.com was taken, but Earl Earl wasn't. And then I went to, like, I first started a newsletter, and I was like, the name doesn't matter. Like, no one's going to see the name. It's just going to be Laurel's newsletter. Like, who gives a fuck? This is in 2021. And so I just put Earl Earl as the name of it, not giving it any thought at all. And now I'm stuck with this name that, like, doesn't mean anything.
I think that's a pretty good origin story, though.
Yeah, it's very typical of me. I'm never like, I'm going to think about this, and then I'm going to do it. I'm like, I already did it. Do you like it? Like, I just, there's this part of Talladega Nights where Amy Adams is like, Ricky Bobby is not a thinker. Ricky Bobby is a driver. And my husband's always like, you are a driver. And I just drive.
I love that. Again, I think people really deliberate over the name of their Substack. What should it be called? And you can also always change it.
Totally.
I mean,
I thought
now
about
it's
changing
too
it.
late.
I thought about changing it. I thought about making it like something fashion and style related so people would know kind of what they were signing up for. But then I was like, no, I think it's just Earl Earl.
Love that story. Okay, so you did, I don't know if I told you I was going to bring this up, but you did have 2 Substacks. So,
yes.
And one of them was more about, is it called Mother?
It was called Your Mom.
Your Mom.
Because I like your mom jokes. And I really like talking about motherhood, and I like talking to mothers. I've made so many mom friends. I'm really into motherhood and like what it does to you to have a baby and to become a mother and like all the ways it fucks you up. But I know that it's not something everyone wants to hear about or be exposed to. So I started a separate newsletter. This is so typical of me. My daughter was at a swim lesson, and my friend texted me, you should do a roundup of links for baby clothes. And I was like, I'm starting a newsletter that's just for moms. Like, as soon as she texted me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna start a separate, like, I started it while my daughter was at a swim lesson. And I ran it separately for a while because I didn't want to inundate the Earl audience with motherhood stuff if they didn't necessarily want to see it. So I made it separate. But then over time, I was like, I had all these paid subscribers, and it was like really premium for your mom. And I was like, I can't, it's just too much. So I folded it in. I worked backwards and had to fold it into Earl Earl and create a separate section that people could opt into. And now I'm like addicted to sections. So now I have the Earl Earl section, which is everything, the Your Mom section, which people can opt into, and then a Fancy Mom section, which is my fancy mom's stuff.
Well, I didn't know you had the third one.
Yeah, I had
That's
Fancy
new,
Mom.
huh?
I have Fancy Mom. I have a very fancy mom, and I have a lot of readers who are about her age and who appreciate content, styling and shopping related content for women that are that age, and stuff about the home and about what is the best bedding and whatever. So that is like that channel.
Love that. Let's talk a little bit about community, because I think you have a really engaged, active community. And you do have chat on. You open it up to everyone. Can you just share a little bit about how you foster that community on Substack?
It's weird because like thank you. That's nice for you to say it, but I like listening to this. I'm thinking like I don't use it nearly as much as I should. I'm not physically in it that much because primarily I'm kind of a mess. And it's hard for me to like consistently show up in all these places because I'm like distracted by 800 different things. But I think just my wish is like the vibe that I set and the kind of like person that I am encourages warmth and compassion and like community in that way without me having to be like, hey y'all, like what's everyone reading? But I mean, I do that. I do ask people what they're reading, but you know what I mean? Like without having to like handhold people through it. It's very everything that I do is, when I say like unplanned and unpolished, I mean, I am like starting a Substack for my daughter's swim lesson. Like, I am so on the cuff that it's all, I think it all just comes from like the tone that I set, hopefully, more than like anything that's strategic.
You might not have an answer for this, but how do you determine what is paid and what is free?
Okay, so that I actually do have a strategy for. Part of the big thing about this, when I started it, I was like, I fucking love this. Like, I don't want to work for anyone else anymore. I'm going to make this my business. I'm going to make it my life. And like, as much of a mess as I am, I'm very smart. So I was like, I need to have a strategy for what goes behind a paywall and what doesn't. And at the end of the day, this is my job and this is my business. And I am here to do all of the things and talk about Alcoholics Anonymous and like whatever, but I need to be making money. So I'm going to look at every post and think like, how am I making money off of this post after I've written it? And then I decide, like, does it go to everyone? Does it go behind a paywall? What happens? And like, is someone going to be willing to pay to read about this? And it's not very sexy or very cute to say, but like, that's the reality of it. I do this full time. I write and I am myself full time. And so like, I have 2 kids. Like, it needs to pay off, which is not cool to say, but like, that's true.
It's okay to say that.
Okay.
We all need to, Substack is a place to make money, and you do that well, and it's good.
Thanks.
I just lost the question I had. Oh, you've been going live.
Yes.
You've been experimenting with lives. It's been really fun to see. And I like how casual you are with it. Like, you can do the route of like, here's a live show, here's the schedule. You can also just go live. So can you just talk a little bit about what that's been like? And yeah. And you do videos too. You do some
I do a lot of videos. I love a styling video. I love to talk through like why the proportion of this works with this and how it can work with a flip-flop or it can work with a heel. Like, I love to talk through that reasoning. So the videos are a little bit, like, I don't write a script for myself. I'm just standing in my living room talking. But those have been great. The lives that I've done, I sign every newsletter, Your Friend Laurel. Because I just like that. And so the lives are Your Friend Laurel, and I try and get a friend who is genuinely a friend. Although I'm realizing now it's probably better when it's not someone who's a friend, so we don't just like bullshit the whole time. And we talk about...
Those are fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's like, I want everything I do to have some sort of utility behind it. Like, you learn something, there's something about it that you want to save or share, or you realize like, oh yeah, like I could try a flip-flop with a cargo pant. However like inane it may be, I want something to come out of everything I do. So it's sometimes better when it's not someone who I'm super, super close with, but yeah, it's basically like one of the things I miss about living in New York is like you would just bump into someone on your way to work and you'd be like, oh, let's go grab a coffee, and you have a 30-minute micro hang and you get through everything in those 30 minutes. So I set a timer for myself also because like I love to talk and could be very long-winded, so I need like a timer, and we just get on and talk about whatever, and I don't have any questions pre-planned. I don't know where the conversation's going to go, but I have interesting friends, and it's been fun. I'm not very like, I need to be better about creating promotional materials and like pre-scheduling and pre-booking guests, because some weeks I don't have anyone, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it this week. But yeah, it's a very, I like attention, and it's a very like fun and satisfying way to get attention.
Okay, so last question. What's your advice for somebody who wants to start a Substack?
It's the same advice, which is just start it. Like, don't worry about a logo. Don't worry about everything being perfect. Just start it, and don't get discouraged. It's not going to be I've been doing this since 2021, and it's like, now it's my full-time job, but it wasn't when I started it. Like, I had to treat it like a job for it to become a job. Like, take it seriously. Set up times for yourself to work. If you start feeling like, I can never do it because every time I write one, I have to do X, Y, and Z, all this legwork, then stop doing that legwork. Like, whatever it takes. If you want to do this, just make it easy for yourself to stay consistent. Don't make it perfect. Just do it. Like, speak from the heart. It doesn't have to be like the same topic every time. That gets boring for people. and think about the kinds of things that you would find yourself wanting to read or you would be willing to pay for. And if you have insight into those things, like, do that in your own way. And I also, like, the other piece of advice I have is a lot of people now are asking me, like, there's so many people on Substack, do you think there's still room? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, as long as you're not trying to, like, eat my game and be Earl Earl, like, like, as long as you have something unique to say and a perspective that's your own and you can stay in your lane, do that. For me, I don't read a lot of other people's newsletters because then I'm like, ooh, I start to play, like, the compare-contrast game. And I just, like, keep my blinders on, swim in my own pond, and, like, if you do that, there is space for you, I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.